Hi, this is R. Madhavan, and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.
एक महान आदमी ने कहा है कि एक्सेलेंस को परस्यू करो, सक्सेस झक मार के पीछे आएगी। और आज हमारे साथ में एक ऐसी हस्ती हैं जो कि कुछ हद तक उस सेंटिमेंट से बहुत ही करीबी तौर पे जुड़े हुए थे, एंड नाउ ही इज ब्रिंगिंग दैट टू द फोर एज फार एज हिज डेब्यू डायरेक्टोरियल वेंचर एज वेल एज कंसर्न। आर माधवन, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका बॉलीवुड हंगामा पे।
Thank you very much.
तो ये आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं सीड तो राजू ईरानी ने आपके माइंड में शायद प्लांट किया था, ऐसा मुझे लगता है, काफ़ी साल पहले, कि जो एक्सेलेंस को जो परस्यू करने के एक जो ज़रूरत है वो शायद क्या कह सकते हैं कि वहीं से आया है।
ये कहना ठीक नहीं होगा क्योंकि इससे पहले मैं उसको परस्यू करा था, इसीलिए तो मैं राजकुमार हिरानी तक पहुंच पाया।
Of course. But maybe I think in terms of words, I think maybe it was.
I think putting the efforts into explainable and easy words is what Rajkumar Hirani did, and
Right.
sometimes those words help you realize that that's exactly what you've been doing for the longest time.
Right. Because when you say that Rocketry is a film that you yourself like are admitting it is, the budget is beyond like what you think is your market value, and it is more than a film. So I think you are somewhere pursuing the excellence factor, and जिस तरीके से reports हैं, especially from Tamil market, I think it's going to achieve what you guys have been looking for.
So this film hasn't been shown in Tamil yet to anybody, but we have the reports from Cannes and we have the reports from people who have seen it over here. And on that report, I will tell you that this Hindi film is not going to embarrass me, at least, as my first directorial debut.
So right before this this interview, I spoke to someone who is from Malayalam industry and who has seen the film to quite an extent as well.
Really?
So that is, I'm getting the insider's perspective that it's from box office perspective, Tamil is something that is looking
God's
really
grace.
good, and Hindi we'll see how it goes. All right. Now, when you're turning a director and the sort of efforts that you put into making it in terms of scripting it, and then you rewrote a lot of stuff because you realize that there's so many more insights into it, what Mr. Nambi told you. How elevating was that particular experience of that entire journey of writing the film in a way?
See, I haven't written much. I've never written a film per se. I've written only assisted with screenplays in most of my projects. But when I met Nambi Narayan sir, I was intrigued by the fact that he was sitting there only talking about the case. You know, about how he was wronged, how this was a useless case, and how it was so, unreasonable that they would put something like that to him and almost kill him in jail and torture him and beat him. And I said, sir, but that's all beyond you, it's all in the past. They've already proved that you're innocent and they've vindicated you. And he said, to hell with that. You know I'm innocent, I know I'm innocent, the court knows I'm innocent, but go to Google and put my name. And sure enough, when you put his name, it says ISRO spy case Nambi Narayanan. So for somebody and his whole family to be always thought of as a spy case family, it's not right. And I understood the angst that he had. But what shocked me more was the fact that he was given the Padma Bhushan and nobody knows why he got the Padma Bhushan. In fact, he was not talking about it. He'd written a book on his life and he had not mentioned his achievements. But when his achievements came to light, when I came to know what he did as the first Ivy League scientist from India in Princeton under Professor Luigi Crocco, or the fact that he went to France with 52 scientists, or the fact that he was in Scotland, or when he went to Russia and, when the USSR was breaking down and smuggled the engines that were supposed to due to come to India and they were not giving it to him because of American sanctions. This was a guy, he's a father of James Bond. Yeah? James Bond to bachcha nikla iske samne.
Right.
He was absolutely incredible. And there is no more cinematic story than Nambi Narayan's life story. In fact, I had to take out facts from his film. Instead of taking liberties at cinematic liberties, I had to take out facts from his film to make it palatable as a believable story. So, and then his highest achievement is he made a rocket engine called the Vikas engine, which has the distinction of never having failed. And nobody knows about Dr. Nambi Narayanan.
Liquid engine as well for the Mars mission, I believe.
It's called the Vikas engine.
Okay.
It's the liquid propulsion engine, and it is an engine that ISRO cannot do without for any mission of theirs, because it has a distinction of being the only engine that has never failed. So the missions or the satellites might have failed, but not his engine. So it was something that was so compelling that I decided to write it. And more importantly, because I understood I'm technically inclined, I'm very engineeringly involved, so I understood the beauty of his engine. And to understand that science and to understand that engine and explain it to the public, I thought you needed a medium that knew both, and that's why I wrote it.
All right, and the efforts that you have put into it, like from just going from 29 to 80, apparently you've not used any prosthetics. आपने अपना जौड़ा भी आपने तोड़वाया. मतलब it's like this is what filmmaking is all about, the craziness,
Yeah, I
the
think
joy of it.
once the idea set into our mind, and not just me, my entire team, then we wanted to make sure that there's not a false note in the film about a story that might make the audience believe that some liberties were taken. And one of the things that would constitute to that is कि यार हम जो look है, it has to be original. So no prosthetics was used to make people look either 29 or 80 or 79. We didn't use graphics to thin them down, and we didn't use paddings to make them look heavier. We sat on the chair for like 18 hours and 14 hours to get our hair color to look exactly like Nambi Narayanan or the other scientists to look like the older versions. And, it was well researched. It took us about 2 years to research it so that it doesn't look like, a false note. At the same time, we're not taking risks with our health. And thankfully, it all panned out very well. So, yeah, we are a film where we haven't used prosthetics.
You started off writing a film which you felt that it's like a James Bond sort of spy thriller, and maybe not getting into the surface of it. And gradually, you got the entire detailing right once you showed him the first script. Now, how has it personally changed you?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think Madhavan before meeting Nambi Narayanan is a very different Madhavan after meeting Nambi Narayanan. I meet him, and a lot of his philosophies have rubbed off, and he's a fighter, He's a decent, sweet, loving man when you have to be, but you rub him the wrong way, and if he believes in something, he will bulldoze you, and he will walk over all over you, because he is a genius, and he has done that, and sometimes, like I've said in the trailer, he's an arrogant, impatient, cruel almost. So, in fact, let me tell you, when I went and met him and I wanted to do his story, unlike homages that are paid in the industry in terms of when you make a biopic, I told him, if you think I'm one of those guys who's going to make you a Maryada Purushottam and paint you in a light that you have all done nice thing and the light shines out of your one out of his or the other of yours, I want you to know that I'm not one of those filmmakers. So he was a 75-year-old man, and I said, tell me what your worst qualities are. Tell me what your inhuman qualities are. Tell me, did you really sleep around with a Maldivian woman? Did you sleep around with any other woman? Tell me, did you have things that people will have to, because unless I show that aspect of yours in the film, they will not believe the rest of the stuff that you've achieved. Right. And a 75-year-old man, you expect him to say, कि भाई तमीज से बात करो, आपको पता है आप किससे बात कर रहे हो. But that was not Nambi Narayanan. He said, आइए, मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि मेरे अवगुण क्या हैं. Let me tell you all the dark sides of my personality. And he told me. And he frightened me. He made a chill run down my spine. I could not believe the cruelty in that man. I do not believe the amount of tenacity he has to just do what it takes. I think I will also say that it's also, we are lucky that his interest aligned with the interest of our nation. And if that be a patriot, so be it, because if it weren't, he would have been equally successful. So that is why it became imperative for us to look like every one of the characters we're playing, so that everything we've shown in the film is absolutely true. No cinematic liberties.
Right. Now, in the teaser, there is this line that is this analogy with the dog, and the fact that if you have to really pull someone down and then just label him as a Deshdrohi. Now, it is so ironical that the man who did so much, maybe he lived a large part of his life living under that shadow of doubt, and the fact that he was tortured in the police station, and all sorts of accusations, the way they happened. So that must be really, I think, a sad aspect of his life. But the tenacious part that you've said, that he survived. He lived on to tell his own story, which is fabulous.
Yeah, which is a great reflection of the efficiency of our judiciary. So it is for a common man who's got no resources at his hand, for him to go to the Supreme Court, reach out and fight against the system, get himself proved innocent. Only a genius can do that. And then get a compensation by the Constitution. The Supreme Court verdict changed itself to accommodate Dr. Nambi Narayan's compensations. So those are, but all that is not in my film. The case is not in my film. I mean, the only reason why we have said that sometimes a man wronged is a nation wronged is because I didn't want to dwell on the case. I wanted India to know what they were missing in terms of a genius that we have not recognized. I didn't want the people involved in the case to get the limelight, because I didn't want them to go down in the aisles of history. It was Nambi Narayanan all the way, and that is why we stuck with it. It's an amazing tenacity he has. You know, imagine. My only regret is that I had to take out almost 8 hours of story to accommodate a part of his life in a 2.5 hour film.
Okay, so considering you have the experience of OTT as well, would you want to maybe release like a larger version, longer version on any OTT?
Oh, thanks for telling me. I think it now that you mention it, it might be a, it might, no, the film was not shot for 8 hours. I'm saying I need 8 hours to tell his story.
Right.
But I think it might be interesting to consider telling the rest of his struggles and his achievements also in the form of a series.
Right, like a sequel or something maybe. That is something.
You know what, brother, what you're saying is right. The only thing I have a problem with is that everything is done is so larger than life, no? Like the sound of the rocket engine that is developed. Like we have done many of the firsts in this film that has never been done before in any film in the world. And I'm sorry I'm saying it, but to sound cocky, but it's true. You might have seen films where we have rocket launches and satellites in space, but you'll never see a film which has shown you a rocket engine.
Right.
And a rocket engine looks like a piece of diamond jewelry. It's brilliant to look at. It's beautiful. A woman would want to just hug it and wear it on her neck, but that's the last thing you want to do when it starts. It's the most, it's the loudest noise known to man. And you know, we've tried to do that on the screen. When the rocket engine fires, you get a sense of foreboding that you won't be able to explain why. We've tried to do all that, you know. So if we have to show the rest of his story, then I think somehow there'll be a sort of you know, no justice done to it, because you don't want to see it in a small screen. It should all be in larger screens.
Achha, like that. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, and I believe you've done Sing Sound and a lot of in the film as well. So as a first time director, what sort of help did you get from people that you've worked with, some of the biggest names, be it Mr. Mani Ratnam or Raju Irani, like some of the really big, even Vikram Vedha, I think directors, they
Pushkar and
Gayatri, Sozal is, they pronounce it differently.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult for a Tamilian for me to pronounce it.
Yes. So
Vortex.
What sort of help did you take from these guys?
I showed Pushkar and Gayatri the script because they come from the same sort of a background as I do. They're technically inclined. They studied in the US. They know what I wanted to do. So once the script was ready, I ran it past them. And they were like, are you crazy? I mean, are you actually going to go through with this? But they liked the script very much. I couldn't go to a Rajkumar Hirani or a Mani Ratnam because direction was thrust upon me 20 days or 25 days before the shoot. That's not, I'm not qualified to be a director. I don't think I have the patience to be a director. But the choice was either drop the film or take this plunge. And Dr. Nambi believed that I had enough knowledge to be able to show the story. And my investors and my producers were ready to back me because they said, we trust you. But it was definitely, you know, a large, huge leap of faith for me. And going to these directors would not have helped, simply because the kind of direction we were heading with this film, shooting it in 3 languages simultaneously. Each of my actors spoke 3 languages. So अगर उनको कहना कि यार इंजन के पार्ट्स ले आ जल्दी से, यो अंदर इंजन और पार्ट्स शीघ्र मंडाया, get me those engine parts, yes. You know, it's like it had to be spontaneous, and we had to cast accordingly. We couldn't wait forever to get people to get the lines. We need them to do the workshops for months together before we went on to the shoot, because my film couldn't afford waiting for a long time for them to get the things right. Nobody has done this before. Not Rajkumar Hirani, not Mani Ratnam, nobody, not in 3 languages. Nobody has done a film on rocket science like this, or on a highly technical subject like this. So I do not know what I could have gone to them for. Also, I didn't get the time. But I did run a couple of my scenes past them after the film was done, and they had very interesting suggestions to give me, and I'm very grateful for that.
All right, and you worked with I think Shahrukh in the Hindi version and Surya in the Tamil version. Shahrukh and you came together in Zero. Ironically, this is the next film that Shahrukh will be seen post Zero. So a lot of his fans, they're waiting for it as well.
Well, I hope so. Whatever is best for the film happens. But Mr. Shahrukh Khan is a very kind-hearted soul. He went out of his way to accommodate this film. In fact, he insisted that he wanted to be part of it after I told him a bit of the story while we were shooting for Zero in the US. And I thought he was kidding, but his team went out of their way and accommodated. And they said, no, he wants to be a part of the film, even if it means some passing in the background. And I said, don't tell me all this. I'll start believing there's a possibility and it'll kill me. They said, no, he's serious. He wants to be. Is there a role that he can do? And I said, yeah, there is a substantial role that you know, has a very important part in the film. And they said, how many dates do you want and when do you want it? That's all. He never took money from me. He never took caravan money or his assistant's money or his costume money, nothing. He just came and he was there for me on all the days I asked. And he shot it not just in Hindi, he shot it in English as well. So he's done 2 versions of the film.
Okay.
And for somebody to do that in the industry without making me feel so indebted, has got to be a huge amount of grace in that personality.
You've always been fond of him. In fact, from whatever I remember, I think when you started off, Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein, I think people also compared you guys in terms of the acting styles as well.
Yes. I think you start becoming a little bit of somebody you admire. And I think my stammering in that film was associated with that of Shahrukh's debut. And my wife is a huge, huge fan of his, and he's gone out of his way every time we've met to make her feel special. I'll never forget that. I mean, I've learned how to be a star and how to make people's life more easy, largely from Shahrukh.
And Surya is there in Tamil version, another huge star.
Surya is really a brother to me in terms of we've known each other for 25 years now, and always supported each other. Always we get into our debates and arguments. At the same time, he tells me where I should be going and I should tell him where he's going. But when he came to know that this film was being made and I was directing it and I needed a character and Shahrukh was doing it, I asked him, I said, will you? And he said, what do you mean? You think you have a choice? And he flew down with his own staff again, didn't take a money. And I said, hey, let me just pay for something. He said, you would have done the same for me. And he got his writers to make sure he got his lines right. So, boss, if you ask me if there are good people in this industry, then based on these two people, I'll tell you there are gems.
There are gems. Great. You've had experience of both OTT as well as films. Obviously, film is something that you've been doing for the longest period of time. The way Decoupled was received in series largely in English, what does it tell you about the level to which audience can go to accept anything?
Well, I don't think it was anything, but it was.
What I mean by anything is in the sense, there is this conception that ये नहीं चलेगा, वो नहीं चलेगा types.
Brother,
so I think English is as much Indian language, I think,
no,
because it's a linked language as well.
It's a very, very valid question, okay? And I want to say this in all humility. I think we in the industry sometimes put ourselves in a pedestal, saying ये audience को समझ में नहीं आएगा, and we try to simplify it, or we start thinking that this is not what will be acceptable by the audience. But I think that if anything, we have to up our ante to become intelligent enough as the audience. Now, you're right. Decoupled was not something even I was expecting to become such a big hit. But can I ask you something? Do you know which age group and sex loved the film the most? Loved the web series? Take a guess, brother. It's not an exam. I'm saying, what would you think would be the age group of people who liked Decoupled the most?
18 to 24?
Men or women?
Women.
Right. Even I would have thought that. The web series has been consumed most by boys between the age group of 14 to 38. At 78% of the consumption as opposed to the rest. And men have loved it. And men in high political positions and around the world have called me and said, how did you know my life story? So I thought it's going to be liked by mature people who have been through marriages and who've had these tussles at home. But no, it's the youngsters. My fan following on Instagram, 77% men, 33% women. My wife is very happy with that statistic. And out of that 77%, the age group of people who follow me the most is between 14 to 38 boys. So our perception, let me ask you something else so that you will understand why the data that is being fed to us is so convoluted. You and I are very educated and I have followed your interviews. You're so good with it. But can you tell me what percentage of the Indian population is on Twitter?
It's a very small percentage.
How small? How big?
I think less than 5%.
5%?
Yeah,
that would be a fair assumption. Less than 5% because even 30% of our population has smartphones.
Right.
So you're saying 5% out of that would be on Twitter?
Yeah.
And we base a lot of our decisions on Twitter?
Yeah.
On what Twitter says?
Right.
Less than 0.2% is on Twitter.
Yeah. That is, it's too overhyped. I think it's way too overhyped.
Yeah, for us to assess ourselves and that to mostly influencers, not even normal public don't generate over there. It's only the people we follow that we consider are ruling our world, and that's their belief and faith in us, that we look for endorsements from them. People commit suicide by what is written on Twitter. How convoluted can the data be? 23.6 million people follow Twitter in India, in 1.4 billion people.
Right.
Indian hacker does physics experiments on his YouTube channel for the cow belt, for people in their entire belt, and he has followers. Single-handedly, I'm not saying followers, I'm saying subscribers. If you go to his subscriber, he's got 26.8 million subscribers who watch his experiment every day and who are a fan of his, which is more than Twitter by itself. So for us to assume that this is what is going to, and make our decisions based on this data is so wrong. And I think that is where the industry is going wrong many times. I think and another thing is when Raj Kapoor came and he made stories which were so effective. Right. It is because he went through that aspect of his life. He's seen the partition. I mean, Mughal-e-Azam was probably one of the things that he's heard about and read. And, so he made those films which were very effective to that generation. And then his associate directors, assistant directors.
Raj Kapoor did not make Mughal-e-Azam.
Sorry, not Raj Kapoor, when he started the film. Mughal-e-Azam was made by, I'm sorry. Asif Ali Saab. But I'm saying in the era that was made by the directors, it was the most, their life was conditioned by those stories and that time. So the people who started directing, there was no direction school at that time. So they were their assistants and they followed that. So right now, if you look at the grand scale of filmmaking, we have a Sanjay Leela Bhansali. If you look at, for example, Subhash Ghai, Rohit Shetty is doing all that. But the Americans suddenly diverted in one way. Suddenly there was a Steven Spielberg who became an engineer and he started thinking about futuristic science fiction films. And they made movies like that became iconic. Our industry didn't do that. And though we made films on freedom struggle and on the Mughal invasion and a lot of glorifying hero stories, we never went into one aspect of India's achievement, which is scientific. World over, the Indian engineers, scientists, doctors, IT professionals are admired and adored. The top Fortune 500 companies, out of the top 20, 14 CEOs are from India. When America makes a film called Apollo 13 or Steve Jobs or Interstellar or Inception, we never wonder whether the Indian public will be able to consume it because kitne commercial gaane hain. But those films are making 70, 80 crores in our country when it released. Gravity released 10 years ago. Right. We never attribute that data to our making of the film. So why are we not making a film? Why are we always assuming that the heroes will only be from America who can save the world? We have such thousands of them, Nambi Narayanan being one of them over here. And we have to make sure that intellectual capital is retained in our country. That people should believe that you can be that intelligent and good engineer and still find glory in this country instead of having to be a Sundar Pichai or a Satya Nadella in America. And if possible, we have to get other scientists from India from other countries to come to India and work. And because I'm telling you, my friend, at one point of time, the ones that ruled the land were the kings. Then the ones that ruled the sea were the most powerful nations. Then the ones that controlled the skies were the trendsetters and the rule makers. But now it's the final frontier space. You and I will have to go to space much faster than you can imagine. We'll have to populate Mars. We'll have to start harvesting the minerals from moon. And as I speak, I'm telling you, those programs are in play. And we need to make India a forerunner in that because we have the most outstanding ancient history and tradition which are contributing to the modern technology, and a combination of that is lethal. Last thing I want to say before I go on to this rant is the Mangal mission, which was the Mangalyaan, was the first time we became successful at a cost which is less than that of a Hollywood film. And we only had a liquid fuel and a solid fuel engine. The rest of the world had liquid, solid and cryogenic. So how do you think we managed that much of a trouble? It's like saying, यार मैं ना रिक्शा में है, आप ट्रेन में जाओ, हम दोनों एक टाइम में पहुंच जाएंगे बॉम्बे from Calcutta. That's exactly what happened. We have a rickshaw. These guys had a super bullet train, but we both reached on time and as accurately. And that ability was possible because the Indian scientists used the Indian almanac, the Panchang, which is the most accurate celestial map. Even NASA is thinking about, ये कैसे आ गया इनके पास? So I'm saying, as an industry also, we need to make stories that will make our youngsters stand up and salute and get admiration for the industry. Yaar. I don't want people to come into the industry thinking, चलो देखते हैं कि यार ये मैडी ने किया क्या है. I want him to come and think, यार ये आदमी जो है scientist है यार, ये कैमरून की तरह है. No, we never question when James Cameron makes a film, or when you see the latest ones, which is Dunkirk and all that. You think it's all accurate and you go, oh, ऐसा हुआ था क्या? I think that's the kind of respect I would want from my audiences as well.
Okay, मेरा आखिरी सवाल आपसे था कि that you're talking wonderfully. You've also been this motivational speaker. You've impacted a lot of lives, young lives especially as well.
Thank you.
How important is that aspect for you?
I'm just sharing my experiences. I have not studied to be a motivational speaker or wanted consciously head in that direction. It's when I start talking, I think I have a way with words maybe, and I have the ability to capture what is around me and putting it in a manner that is understood by people. But if that's benefited people, I've understood that it's been impacting them, and I want to continue to do that as much as possible.
I must tell you that so my daughter has been writing, and she's got a book published in her name, and I tweeted to you, and you wrote some wonderful things about it. So you don't even realize how much it impacted her.
Thank you.
And she's been writing brilliantly. And
I'm so happy she's such a good writer, and considering her age, I mean, I'm glad you're supporting her, because this sort of wisdom is very very rare at her age, and you must congratulate her on my behalf.
No, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Okay, so we'll end this conversation with a rapid fire with you.
Thank you.
All right, rapid fire with Madhavan. Which, according to you, is the best R. Madhavan film ever, apart from Rocketry?
3 Idiots.
Okay. What's that one thing about Shahrukh Khan you'd like to steal?
His ability to charm and be gracious.
What did you find most surprising about story of Nambi Narayanan?
The fact that it's a national disservice not to know her story about him, and nobody knows it yet.
What is that one quality of Nambi Narayanan you wish you too had?
His tenacity and his ability to keep saying India, India, despite all that we have done to him.
All right. What is that one factor about Rocketry which makes it special?
Everything you see in the film, unlike other biopics, is absolutely true.
Which is that one biopic that really appealed to you?
A Beautiful Mind. I think I got impacted a lot, to such an extent that I think I might have siphoned off a few ideas for my film.
Have you read the biography of Steve Jobs by
Yes,
Walter
I have.
Isaac? Do you think that maybe justice has not been done to him yet? I think 2 films have come out on him, but both of them they've not really.
Yeah, I think we can accuse Hollywood as for exactly what we accuse ourselves of, of being swayed by what they think will be consumed by market. And I think both the films that I saw on Steve Jobs did not do justice to his life.
And the biography is excellent.
It's extraordinary.
And as you said, that it should not be really celebrating the goody things.
Yeah.
It's the what's that really make the good points.
So well put. It is
out.
the what's, it is the scars, it is the battle scars that you must show to make the person look human. And then you know what they rose above to achieve what they did.
All right. In your opinion, who's the greatest director in the Indian film industry?
Mani Ratnam, without a doubt. The reason I will tell you is not because of that he's my mentor, but Mani Ratnam has managed to become super successful on multiple genres, which means you have to understand the insight he has about children when he does Anjali, or about a Dawn when he does Nayakan, or about the Sri Lankan conflict when he does Kannathil Muthamittal. All the genres that he's managed to do, from Tirada to Iruvar, Yuva to Dil Se, it's so amazing. I would love to pick his brain sometimes and know how does he have such a lot of expertise in so many genres. I've never seen any director in the world, except maybe Steven Spielberg, to such an extent, except both of them are terrible at comedy. Apart from that, they've touched every other genre.
And the sheer variety that Mr. Ratnam has is truly amazing. Apart from acting, which other filmmaking aspect excites you the most?
I think screenplay, writing screenplays. I've always been involved in it, either as a ghost or off late prominently, but I enjoy screenplays.
When you wrote the script, you wrote it in English or Tamil?
I wrote it in English because I think in English when it comes to logically analyzing a story flow. And then I wrote it in Tamil and then in Hindi.
You've written it Hindi yourself? The
Yes.
dialogues and everything?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
You speak very good Hindi. I was watching the promo launch press conference, and you have a very, I think, ठेठ हिंदी जिसको बोलते हैं.
यार मैं पैदा पला बिहार में था, इतना तो बनता है.
Right, but I think that still बहुत से बिहारी उस तरीके की शायद उनको भी.
Thank you.
How would you personally relate to Nambi Narayanan's character on a personal level?
I think the fact that he's unrecognized and not enough credit has been attributed to him is something that I feel sometimes is something that I share with him.
Is there anything common between Shahrukh Khan and Surya?
Yes. Their love for the industry, the love for the filmmaking process, where they have got their bones broken so many times and still have this insane ability to repeat those actions and repeat those dangerous sequences and repeat the commitment that they have done. I've seen both Surya and Shahrukh build six packs at an age where I don't think they should. But they're at it. They're at it, and unbelievable. I wish I had that sort of commitment and tenacity.
Out of Raju Irani, Amir Khan, and Sharman Joshi, who has the best sense of humor?
Sharman Joshi.
Okay. What is that one thing about the direction you thought would be easy, but it flabbergasted you by being extremely tough? Anything?
You know what, to be honest with you, I thought directing myself will be easy. Because you must remember, I was the director who was being on the shot. I would come on the set, be the producer first, then I would be the the director and set up the shots, and then I would throw all that out and become the actor and sit in front of Shahrukh and then see the. So I remember a scene where I was working with one of the greatest actors who's called Vincent Riotto, and I was being Nambi Narayana giving cues, and he was sitting in front of me, and I was like, I was giving the cues, and I was saying, yeah, go ahead, action, and I was looking at him, and he said his lines, and he said, Maddie, please. Can you take out the director and can I have Nambi Narayana back? You know. So then I realized, हाँ भाई, sorry, ये गलत तरीके से देख रहा है. You know, that was tough. So for me, I realized that. Then I thought, you know, directing others and telling them what I want would be tough. But after doing that, when I came to myself, I was exhausted. I didn't expect that to be tough, you know, to direct myself and get into the character. But I think I managed it.
Hrithik Roshan or Saif Ali Khan, whose performance you're looking forward to in Vikram Vedha?
Yeah, I don't want to give you a very diplomatic answer. Hrithik Roshan is awesome looking, okay, but I'm looking forward to Saif's performance because he's playing me, and I want to know whether he's going to beat me and make it more convincing because I have a feeling he will.
All right, that's amazing. Okay. Pathan, Jawan, Danki, a Shahrukh Khan film that you're most excited about?
I think Danki. Rajkumar Hirani has a way of excelling in whatever he does. So I'm very keen to see where he's going with this one.
All right, so Madhavan, lovely talking to you, and really looking forward to Rocketry. I think it's looking really, really interesting. And
Thank you.
I'm sure that I've seen quite a few of your appearances on YouTube, and I think the way, the energy that you're having right now, I think it's very infectious. वो लग रहा है कि कुछ उसमें बड़ा बना है. So all the best wishes and thank you.
You've been very kind to me. Thank you so
much.
No,
I think क्या होता है ना कि वो अंदाजा हो जाता है, वो एक जो energy होता है.
हाँ.
That is something.
आप सच में कह रहा हूँ, मेरे लिए अफसोस की बात है कि नंबी नारायण साहब को कोविड हो गया, वरना ये वो आने वाले थे. मैं कह रहा हूँ वो यार वो 80 इयर्स के हैं यार, अभी भी सलाह उसका और असर हमको धक्का लग जाता है. वो ना आप बैठे रहेंगे, आपको लगेगा आप उनके सवाल, मतलब ये 80 साल का आदमी को आप सवाल पूछ रहे हो कि शायद इसको सवाल समझ में आ रहा है, नहीं आ रहा है. And you'll be shocked because he'll answer your question. He'll answer the question he'll answer the question which is the reason you asked that question, and more importantly, he'll answer the question that you've not asked also. इतना sharp आदमी है.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I hope the world gets to see a lot.
I'm sure. I'm sure that I hope that happens. Thank you and all the best wishes. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
That's all we have from Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.
Hi, this is R. Madhavan, and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.